wasn't in jail very long before I attempted to escape. Hello, like and subscribe to my videos. Go watch 500 more of them. Just hit that play all button and just kick back and listen to my life story. Okay, so I'm in jail still, and I get moved out to this federal jail, right? And it's in Sheridan, Oregon. And out there at the time, they've got a jail, a camp, and a medium high security, right? So they've got like so many, they've got, I think, like at a camp, and then there's like a low, and then there's like a medium, and then there's like a medium high, and then there's a high, or no, then there's USP. So there's no high, it's a USP at that point. And then above that is max, and then maybe super max. I think there might be two distinctions over USP, right? That's the security levels, right? All jails are basically, I mean, there's some open dorm jails, but even open dorm jails are pretty high security, because you have an open dorm with, you know, like whatever, 20 or 40 guys in there, and there's a cop like in there most all the time. And then there's like another cop like on the other side of the wall in the exact mirroring, so if they have to take breaks, they'll fall back into like a little in-between place, so there won't be a cop for a little while. There'll just be one for 2 rooms. But I mean, that's all super high security, and those guys in those things have like proven they're not fucking gonna attack people and shit. This is Oregon. I don't know about California. Well, that's not true. I ended up in living hell, which was a California. San Bernardino County Jail was just insane. But that's I'm jumping ahead again. In Oregon, or in Portland then, so it's all high security in the jails. In the federal thing, they had 2 wings. Okay, they had the yellow jumpsuit wing, and they had the blue jumpsuit wing. And the blue jumpsuit wing was not where you wanted to be. That was the wing that had the more, I mean, they were both set up like this. It was like imagine like a basketball court, then like a double high area, and there's just all cells around the bottom, and then there's another thing and all cells around the top, right? So in the blue side, you'd spend most of your time in the cell, and you had somebody in there with you. In the yellow side, you'd spend most of your time out of the cell. So they used it like a carrot and a stick type of thing, right? Well, I get there, and pretty much everybody starts out in the blue side until they see that, you know, you're not stabbing people or whatever, right? Well, my co-defendant was already had been long ago transferred to the feds, like, because he was cooperating with the feds, so they were, his whole deal was being expedited. Like, he was charged and done and guilty and off before I was even charged, which worked out in my favor because I got to use the criteria that they used to sentence him to sentence me. So I actually fought my sentencing and got a lower case because of the way they sentenced him. So I like got benefit from him being a snitch because they gave him all these benefits, but then certain of the benefits, basically like the credit, so for what was in the house, like, so they were trying to charge me with everything in the house when they only charged him with what his level of the house had, right? So that removed a lot of shit, like this acid that wasn't mine. There was a lot of LSD And the fucking Cedar told him whose it was, but he still had it in his house. And it was still, yeah, so that shit, I got off my fucking case. But again, I'm jumping ahead, which I typically do. So I'm in this fucking blue jumpsuit thing for a while, right? And I had met this fucking black dude in Inverness jail. He was coming back, he was a bank robber. He was coming back and forth from, side note, the same guy, I went in at the same time, we got out at the same time, but he went into super high security. And he was a completely different person when he got out of prison. Like, scary. Like, he literally went and beat somebody with a baseball bat in the halfway house, right? So, but this same black guy, I told him, I go, hey, Cedar's a snitch. So he goes and he starts extorting Cedar at the fucking jail. He's like, I'm gonna fucking tell everybody you're a snitch if you don't start buying me all this shit. So Cedar's buying him sneakers and commissary and having money put on his books and just paying this guy off to keep quiet. Now Cedar's fucking, he goes the extra fucking mile with the snitching. He literally fucking starts working in the fucking jail as a snitch as well. So he turns into a jail snitch, which is just like, you know, this guy's extorting him. Now I get moved over into the yellow side when Cedar's there. And I get there and the black guy sees me and he's all, fuck. Because he knows what I'm gonna do, right? Now, I'm not going to assault Cedar because I'm still trying to go to a fucking camp. Because I'm not trying to spend any time in fucking prison, right? But jumping ahead again. So, a couple of the fucking shot callers. So, you get this dynamic in every jail, and not so much in low security prisons, but in jails and in serious prison, you get shot caller dudes, right? Alpha males, most of them, you know, very manipulative and violent, right? So these, the shot callers in this jail cell, like I get in there and I know I'm not going to be in there long. So the first thing I start doing is telling people Cedar is a snitch. Well, that totally fucks up this black guy's hustle. Like, cause everybody knew he was a snitch then. I had my paperwork that showed he was snitching. I told the shot callers in the fucking cell. And I was in that jail, the yellow side, for a matter of hours. Once the fucking staff realized, which I think Cedar, or it might have been, who knows, somebody told on me for being in there with my co-defendant. And so I wasn't in there just a matter of hours before they were like, roll them up, get over there, get all your shit and get by the door. And I was back off to the fucking blue side for another forever. I was in the blue side, right? And so I spent a lot of extra time. Now, once they realized they put me in with my co-defendant, they would have fucking moved me regardless, whether if I had said this shit to anybody or not. That wasn't what got me moved. What got me moved was they fucked up and put me there in the first place. But I honestly think there could have been something like, you know, because they aren't really known for fucking up. Like, you know, they're pretty on it when it comes to fucking like security and shit like that. So fucking up and actually putting somebody in the fucking cell with they're not supposed to. But they do test that shit. Like, oh, let's see if this guy wants to beat this guy up, you know, and they have a whole SWAT team hiding in a room you can't see, and they put you in there and you jump the guy, and then, you know, 2 seconds later, now you're fucked for your whole prison sentence at a higher security level for being violent, right? So that might have been the scenario. You never know. You never know with the they have all kinds of manipulative games they play in jail, right? Cops fucking play games and are taking payoffs, and I mean, it's fucking just a shitty concept, prison system. I get moved back to the blue side in like a matter of hours, and then I just spend like the rest of my jail time waiting, because the feds like literally do shit in like 6-month increments. Like literally, like, okay, you pled guilty, let's schedule you a sentencing 6 months later. You know, I mean, they just are in no fucking hurry. They got you in hell and they don't give a fuck, right? So after sitting there and honestly, really, just a day in and day out, you know, you get up, you get food, you go back in. I think in that jail you ate it out on little picnic bench type things that you'd eat at, and then you go back to your cell, and generally like just go back to sleep. You know, like get up, eat breakfast, go back to sleep, get up, go to fucking rec, go to lunch. You know, I mean, it's super miserable existence. And, you know, they want you to keep your cell real clean, and some guys are just freaking crazy about it. They just wax and polish and strip and wax and polish their floors until they're like mirrors. I mean, just a lot of weird obsessive behavior. It just, you know, and I had conversations with people I would never have talked to in my entire life, like that whole, like people that were just homeless basically. You know, I mean, the feds, they're just locking people up, man. It just doesn't really make a lot of fucking rhyme or reason. So anyway, and you get a little bit of time out of the cell to go outside, and outside's just all paved. It's just a giant waste of time, and it's designed to get fucking guilty pleas. And they would also use the detention center there, the Fed jail, as it was the hole for the guys that would fuck up in the camp. So if they fucked up big enough, they were getting sent up to a low, and or else they were just sitting in there for, you know, a month or something like that, and then getting sent back over. I ended up spending the last of my whole sentence in that fucking jail. I was in jail for Y2K, and they made everybody fucking go to bed early, and they had SWAT teams roaming the halls, and nothing really happened. I got the judge after 13 months is when I ended up in the next prison. But then, so I got the judge, you know, because I spent a lot of time in the law library. I was like in the law library reading shit all the time. Oh, it was ridiculous. I went from never really reading shit in the real world out to just all day, every day reading. Like, as soon as I'd leave the library, then I'd be reading some kind of fiction book or whatever I could get my hands on. But in the law library, I learned a lot of shit. Like, the police have basically, there's no such thing as entrapment. They can totally entrap you, and that's, the case law supports it. So you have laws, but then you have case law. So a law says this, but then the way the judges interpret that law then becomes really how that law is used. Well, I don't know how they've completely bastardized the entrapment law, but I wasn't entrapped, but I just, you know, read a lot of shit about stuff. I would read cases, so fascinating stuff. A guy bought an airplane with $1 million cash in a duffel bag that had cocaine residue in it. And that's how he got busted. Dope. So yeah, I mean, I fucking read a lot of shit in the law library over there. And I did so much that I literally got myself a break on my time because of the way the sentencing. They had already sentenced my co-defendant. They didn't charge him with my shit. So even though they didn't charge him with my shit because they were doing him a favor for being a snitch, it didn't really matter. They had to treat us equally on that level. And that got me down from like 10 to 15 years or something like that. And they were recommending like 12. That got me down to where my range was, the maximum was 7. And the low was like a little below 5 or something like that. And then they recommended the high. So, yeah. Like, love how they do that. Like, oh, you fall into this low, medium, high criteria based on all these factors that aren't supposed to have anything to do with sentencing until you beat them on their own game and get your sentence. Now, I beat them myself. My lawyers sucked. One of my lawyers fell asleep. Alan Gallagher, you fucking human piece of trash. You fell asleep in court during my fucking something one day. Yeah, literally, my lawyer fell asleep. So I went through so many lawyers. Oh, that's a whole nother video. So I'll talk about that. All right, well, I'm at a place. This is a good like, subscribe, tell all your friends, send this to your grandma. I remembered a couple of things. I kind of jumped ahead. I remembered a couple things in jail. So I wasn't in jail very long before I attempted to escape, right? And basically, the situation was this. I was on a bus that went back and forth to the jail. And these buses were basically school buses with expanded steel screwed over the windows. So I had noticed that the bus, somebody had unscrewed the paneling to where you could pull, not in the seat that I was in, it was on the other side of the bus. So I noticed that you could pull it. Well, I didn't notice that somebody was playing with it, right? And I was like, I could just pull that thing down, go out the window, right? Now they probably had secured the windows, like the school bus windows, the old school, you just push them together and they come down. They probably disabled that or something, I don't know, or screwed the windows so they could never come down. But I could have broke the window. So, but I was on a chain, right? So the way they transport you is they have a chain with 3 single handcuffs on it. So you just you're handcuffed to, or is it one other person? I don't remember, 2 or 3 other people. So 3 people are all handcuffed like their right hands, and then there's a chain between all 3 of them, right? That's how they transport you from like a jail to a jail or jail to court. That's how the county does it. Not how the feds do it. The feds, they put you in fucking goddamn belly chains and ankle chains, and you can't even fucking move when you're moved with the feds. They treat everybody like they're a fucking serial killer. I'm on the bus, I'm chained to like 3 other guys or 2 other guys. It might have been like, at least 2, but mostly 3. The handcuff is like is like a ring that's spot welded onto a chain, right? Well, I noticed that the fucking weld on that was a weak weld. So I put the ring into the expanded steel where I was, and I broke the weld, bent the little ring, got the handcuff off the ring, got across the bus, pulled the fucking thing open, and it was like, I could have gone. But I chickened out. I basically was just, and I mean, I wasn't too far away from my grandparents' house, but you're in jail clothes, but I was free. I just had one little bracelet handcuff on. Woo-hoo. If I had been able to get away at that point and get to my people and get up to Canada, which if I could have got to my people, I could have got to Canada, no problem. I think this is back in the day when I still like memorized phone numbers. Like I went to jail recently. I remember a phone number. But back in the day, it was saving phone numbers in a phone when you were a drug dealer was like not the best idea. Even though it's just a weed smuggler, it's still a drug dealer. I would have been able to get out of town. My grandparents didn't live far away. It would have been an adventure. There's no question about that. But if I would have gotten caught, I would have never gone to the camp, and then my prison stories wouldn't be so unique. All the prison stories you see on TV, movies, and all that shit is all based on like really high security shit, right? Nobody really talks about the low security shit. I'm gonna tell you right now, the stories I'm gonna be telling about freaking prison camp are literally unbelievable. So, welcome to another story about Guda by Guda. That's called an autobiography for y'all, you fancy folks. So, I was trying to get out of jail. If I had been able to get out of jail early on, like not too long, like get a bail or escape or whatever, when I first got in, I was in this one pod and this kid was just freaking out, like he was gonna get like a grip of time or something. And he was just like, and he was like talking about like grabbing the cop's gun, or not gun, but just like grabbing the key, just crazy shit. So I'm like, look, dude, here's what you do. I was just bullshitting with this dude, and I just fucking was like, he goes and tells the fucking cops this shit, so that I could tell when the cop, because basically what I told him, there was a square block, and then one corner of the square was like this outside rec area. That outside rec area had a door that the cops were constantly checking to see if it was unlocked. That door, everybody thought that door just went out to the outside. Whether it did or not, who knows? Maybe it just went into another little courtyard. So I was like, yeah, just grab the cops' keys and just fucking, go out that door right there and shit. Well, you told the cops that's what I was trying to do. So the cops then were all trying to, do something clever. And meanwhile, I was just fucking joking. Like, subscribe, check out my Patreon.